Hey guys, it is Red and Blue, and today it gives me great pleasure to announce that we beat Marseille so bad that they got rid of their coach. Roberto De Zerbi is officially out of Marseille as of last night. And all joking aside, I want to talk about it because honestly, I think there's many reasons why this is happening, but there's also many reasons to think that this might not be a good decision for Marseille. So I'm going to be laughing a lot because it's Marseille, and Marseille in chaos is just like exactly what I like. So we're going to be cracking up. But let's talk also about like what's next for our friends in the south of France. Roberto De Zerbi out, it's official. Supposedly the club and him decided together to part ways, and that it was the best thing for everyone. De facto, obviously, got fired, and we kind of know the conversation. He's paying the price for the recent, like really like bad run of results, from getting kicked out of the Champions League in a really like super ridiculous way, losing 5-0 against PSG. But also, like, a few really bad performances, like losing against Nantes, only getting the draw after getting caught up by PFC. There's a lot of things, and I think, like, beyond the results, there's also, I suspect, like, the fact that the players, or at least some of them, have just like stopped trusting in the coach and stopped listening to the coach. And it looks like, from an external perspective, it looks like a locker room in turmoil, and ultimately, like, he's just paying the price for it. Where I'm struggling is that, obviously, like, as this is happening and as the results are bad, all of the vultures are circling, and everyone is calling out everything that's going wrong in Marseille, and everything that might be related to De Zerbi. And so, like, I'm trying to like give you a perspective and give you a point of view and like be a bit informed. So I don't want to be like, just clickbaity and go like, oh, Roberto De Zerbi, like, what a horrible coach, and he did everything wrong, and he's so stupid, and everything is his fault. I don't want to do the opposite and say like he's a great guy and Marseille is completely stupid, and everything that goes wrong, nothing is his fault, because that's just not the case. So I think for me, I'll go through like the main things that I'm hearing, and I'll give you my point of view as I go. I think tactically, one of the things that's getting reproached of him a lot is that he's changing his tactics a lot. If I'm honest, I can see the criticism and I can kind of understand. But at the same time, I think, like, tactically, this Marseille team has shown more under him than I've seen it in recent years before him. So yes, not everything is perfect. Yes, sometimes his players look confused, but ultimately, like, I've also seen them play, and I'm not forgetting the 2 games that we played against them this season. I've seen them play sometimes at a very high level, and that's the reality of it. And so, I think the criticism is fair, and I think, he needs to be a little bit more straightforward in terms of how he's approaching things, and maybe not change quite as often. But at the same time, like, I don't want to say like, oh, everything should be thrown through the window, because that's not the case. Also, like, playing into this, and it's another conversation point that pops up a lot, is that the players are changing all the time. And that's a Marseille, like, club issue, is that every mercato window, literally, like, 6 new players come in and 6 players go out. And so in this context, you just cannot build over the long term. And you see a Luis Enrique, like, Luis Campos and Luis Enrique in PSG, that's exactly what they do well, is that they've got a long-term vision, and like, over time, they're going to go through it. It's not going to be year 1. It's not going to be like year 2. It takes a long time, and we are progressive. And sometimes, like, if like in a mercato window, there's not what we need, then like, it's fine. We'll seal it out, and we'll wait, and we'll keep what we have, and just like wait until we get what we need. Marseille, I think they do have a vision of what they need, and I think a coach like De Zerbi, he knows, and like, you know, respect for the people in charge who obviously know football. But yes, they're a bit addicted to movements. Obviously, the economic context means that you need to be trading if you're going to survive in Ligue 1, because we don't have TV rights anymore. But at the same time, the transfer moves that have been in Marseille, honestly, like, they get called into question a lot. I think that's fair, is that there's really not a lot of success. And there's instead like a lot of players who come in with a lot of potential and who leave 6 months or a year later to go to a lesser club, having like not really performed in Marseille. So I think that's a problem there. Is it Roberto De Zerbi's problem? Yes, I think to some extent, because like the coach is partly responsible for the recruitment and partly responsible for how he's using the players. And I think, you know, I see a player like Egan Riley, for example, who came in like really highly talked about. Yeah, he's not really like living up to it. Player like Pavard, who's, you know, he's had a very like strong career across Europe, national team, and so on. He's not the player that you would want him to be at this level. Even Balerdi, like players like this, like there's quite a few players who, in the end, I think like disappoint a little bit. And I think like it's hard to say that this squad has like massively improved. I think it has, but yeah, maybe not as much as it should have. And I think you're in a place where like the coach is not necessarily helping all of those players progress as well. And I think, you know, that brings me to my next point, which is really more about like the mental and the mentality of it all. And I think, you know, both the coach and the squad, they're built in a way where like they're really like a one-trick pony, and it's all about like creating conflict and creating like pressure and putting more and more pressure and so on. And for a club like Marseille, where the environment around it, the city, the fans, the media, is already like always under high pressure. Like Marseille is it's crazy. It's a pressure cooker. And so if the only thing that you do is add more pressure on top of this pressure, then it will work. Like it will work sometimes, and if the results are good, everyone is going to love it because that's the mentality of it. But as soon as the results don't show, then like you get exactly what we've been getting, which is like everyone jumps off their seat, start jumping up and down, start screaming, and lose track of the reality. And you know, I kind of blame De Zerbi for it because I think like at his level, he should be able to modulate, and you know, sometimes put on more pressure when he needs to, sometimes like put the pressure on the players so that he gets the best out of them, but sometimes also like put it on himself and take it on himself and serve as a kind of like barrier, so that the players can you know, be relaxed and not suffer too much from the environment. And I think like that is really failed at. And I think like that's really ultimately what killed them in the past few weeks, is that now like the results aren't there and like the whole environment is going berserk, and it's just ridiculous. Because, you know, jumping back to like my opinion on it is that like, yes, like I think getting kicked out of the Champions League in this way, especially, it's a really bad result and it looks ridiculous. And honestly, as a PSG fan, I'm laughing really hard still. But at the same time, like, when was the last time like Marseille was in the Champions League? When is the last time they were in the 24 teams like qualified? Like literally, like Marseille is not like a Champions League like annual like competitor anymore. Like it's not like our expectation of them is that they're gonna go to quarterfinal. I think like them getting qualified for the playoff, I wouldn't have expected them to go much further than that, even at the beginning of the season. So yeah, like the way it happens make it seem silly, but they're essentially like where they should be. And I think in the league, like, sure, they've dropped off recently, and now they're like 12 points away from us. But at the same time, like, you know, a month ago, they were like neck and neck with us and Lens. They're still running in Coupe de France. They came this close to getting the Trophée des Champions in Kuwait. So I don't know, like, I'm having a hard time saying that, like, this Marseille team is underperforming, because, like, I really don't think they are. I think they're, like, exactly where they should be. The sad part is that, like, they're basically exactly where they were last year, at least in the league. Obviously, they've added the Champions League, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. And so I think overall I give them credit. But yeah, I think, like, I'm really having a hard time saying, like, oh, like, the wheels are completely fallen off the wagon, and, like, they're, like, you know, they're crashed into a wall. I don't think that's the reality at this point. And honestly, like, I see the coaches that they're looking at, or, like, that they're likely to look at, and who can be coming in next. I honestly, like, I don't see how any of them are an improvement, because, like, let's be realistic, they're not going to be getting Xabi Alonso, they're not going to be getting Maresca, they're not going to be getting, like, any of those guys. So the real names that are in contention: Habib Bey, who just got kicked out of Rennes, Frank S, who, like, managed to crash Nice into the ground, like, so bad, after admittedly doing some nice work in Lens. How is that better than Roberto De Zerbi with all of his flaws? Like, I honestly, like, I don't see it. They're going to be paying a lot of money as well to get rid of De Zerbi and all of his stuff. How is that a good business decision? Like, how is that not, like, you know, a decision that's taken under pressure? And as a PSG fan, honestly, like, I'm laughing because, like, I'm kind of, like, respecting De Zerbi, and I know that, like, he's put a lot of pressure on us when we played him. He got the win in Marseille earlier in the season. The game in Kuwait, honestly, like, they played really well against it and put a lot of pressure on us. I think, like, the game against Paris, yeah, everything went wrong. Obviously, everything went wrong because you lose 5-0, everything goes wrong. But I can understand, like, how they approached it and what they were trying to do, and I can also see why it didn't work. So it's not. I don't think it's you know, a coach who's doing, like, ridiculous stuff and where it makes no sense. I think the people who pretend it makes no sense, yeah, they like. I question it. Honestly, I question it. So anyway, De Zerbi is out. Maybe, you know, maybe it's what the team needs. Maybe, like, the little bit of shock will, like, awake the players. Maybe, like, they'll realize that they need to stand together, stand strong as a team, come back to more basic stuff, and just, like, run through the rest of the season and land, like, the third place in Ligue 1, which is basically what they can get. So yeah, we'll see if it does that. But honestly, yeah, question it. I'm honestly not sure. The good news is, for PSG fan, we're gonna be laughing, I think, for a bit more time. We're gonna be laughing because honestly, like, Habib Bey or Frank is coming into Marseille. Oh man, like, that's gonna be mad ass. I think the best they can do is probably, like, name some sort of, like, interim coach till the end of the season, to once again try to take the pressure out from the coach and from the team. But I have a hard time thinking that's what's gonna happen. So we'll see. It's a team and an environment. It's why they're a rival, is that, like, just they're so crazy, like, the whole, like, Marseille city fans, club team, like, they're so crazy. Like, it goes on from, like, the fans who are, like, putting together a tifo at the beginning of the season, saying, like, oh, Europe is gonna shake from fear because Marseille is back. Seriously, like, guys, like, have some humility, all the way down to, like, Balerdi, who's the captain and who's still, like, you know, talking to every player he cross paths with, trying to, like, insult them and get them off their game and so on. Like, dude, like, just like shut up and play, shut up and be humble, shut up and like be realistic on where you are and what you can achieve. But more than anything, like, just shut up, like, like, shut up and work. This is really like what I hope for Marseille. Trying to put to the side my PSG fandom. What I really hope for Marseille, and the best that they can do, is shut up and work. From like the coach to the fans to the players, everyone. Like, yeah. So I wish them that. In the meantime, if you made it this far, let me know in the comment what you think of this. Like, do you think? I mean, like, do you think it's a mistake? Do you think it's warranted? Like, do you think Marseille tend to lose in the long run? If you've made it this far, please drop a like on the video. Obviously, always helps. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and hit the bell to get notified of future videos. Share the videos around. Talk about it on social. Come follow on Twitter. Like, do all of those things. And as always, even when Marseille is out, ici c'est Paris.